have this closed-minded approach and we're like, oh, it's impossible. We can't do it. We're not going to put the work in. Well, we put the work in for our clients. We're never going to say no. We're never going to say something's impossible. We're going to try to make it work. So you have to have that like extra motivation and bring that out of like your partners and make sure you're surrounding yourself with those people, especially at an agency where, oftentimes you're a connector. So just finding that right partner, that right group, and going the extra mile and, not admitting, if something's impossible, maybe it's impossible, but like, we're going to fricking break down doors before we determine that. We're not going to just rule something out.
All right, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the 1% Podcast. I'm your host, Vin End.
And I'm Shane.
And today we're joined by my man, Sam Rosenblum. What's up, brother?
Well, guys, pleasure to be on the podcast and just meeting with Shane here. So nice to be connected with both of you.
Yeah, we're looking forward to this. Mostly me, because Shane doesn't even know what you do yet on the scale that you do it, but that's the most exciting thing. So a little backstory, everybody, nothing too crazy. I met this, and for all of you not on YouTube, go check him out. I met this chiseled gentleman at a dinner or an event. I forgot what it was. It was some sort of an event. He's a great guy. He's doing some fascinating things. And I was just,
event, right?
yeah, it was a networking event. It was, I think there was food though. So that, like, does it make it a dinner if there's food or no? How does that work?
I don't know. Yeah, it's like, is a hot dog a sandwich? I don't know. It's like one of those questions.
I feel like, listen, if somebody says a hot dog is a sandwich, they're a sociopath. I'll answer that question for you.
They got their own problems. They got their own problems. Right?
If you think the hot dog is a sandwich, you should probably text or call me because you need someone like me to fix your mind. Anyway, Sam is doing some really crazy things. I don't want to cheapen it by telling you all about it. So, Sam, please tell the audience what you're up to, what you build, and I guess how you do it.
Yeah, thanks for that, Vin. So I'm Sam Rosenblum. I am the Director of Business Strategy and Media Acquisition at Map 360 Collective. It's really hard to boil what we do down to sort of one sentence. The way that I like to describe it is we are a non-traditional marketing agency. So all of our clients come to us for all those crazy, stunty, off-the-wall type asks. Anything that really breaks through the clutter. That's really our specialty, our bread and butter. So recently that has been experiential. A lot of our clients are leaning into that experiential. How could we do something that like really connects with the consumer at a deeper level? So we've been working on a ton of that. We also do a lot of stunty, disruptive out-of-home campaigns, meaning anything that you'll see outdoor media, meaning billboards, any sort of outdoor ad, digital trucks, street stencils, wild postings, we'll manage all of that as well. So, aerial ads, just other ways that like really stand out from just maybe the more mass traditional media, which is getting an ad on your phone or just buying a simple billboard. And we do some of that as well. But I would say most of our clients come for us, the phone rings with something different every day. And just reacting to that and being problem solvers and solution oriented. And then just a little bit more about Map 360 Co. So my father actually started the business under a different iteration. That was back in 2003. It started as a real grassrootsy radio, very based agency where he was cutting a lot of those spots saying, hey, this is Justin Timberlake and you're listening to Z100, and doing a lot of bartered radio promotions, meaning like, hey, if you give us Blu-rays to go see your movie or, a DVD back then, we'll read your copy on the radio and give you a full service ad, for much more of a discount than what you would pay for if you just called up your radio rep and asked for an ad. So my dad really built it up from that, started doing some more grassrootsy stuff, street teams, working on a lot of live events. And it really blossomed into this like full service marketing engine that we are today, repping some of the largest studios in entertainment, Apple TV Plus, Netflix, NBC, Paramount, working on pretty much all of their titles. And then all the way down to some lifestyle brands, like Fabletics has been a new exciting one for us, and starting to venture out into the CPG space and some of these other verticals. That's really been my mission as the director of business strategy, and trying to diversify a little bit, get out of that entertainment bubble. Obviously it's always good to diversify so you're not subject to just that one industry. And, for example, when the entertainment industry went on strike, I think we all heard about that. The actors and the writers, obviously that had a direct impact on our business. So we started to think outside the box, get into different verticals, and realize that a lot of the tactics we do really just fly across the map, whether someone's releasing a new movie or releasing a new article of clothing. Um, so yeah, I mean, that's a little bit about us, just really trying to stand out in non-traditional ways and be anything but your ordinary marketing agency.
I assume that to be able to do these things that are so disruptive and so creative, you probably have NDAs or something keeping you from even talking about it until the whole project's done.
Mm.
So I respect that. What's something that you have worked on that was really wild and really cool to do?
Most epic recent campaign, and obviously this is all public info now that it's been released and
Right.
season one is
Don't
is
break any
out. So
NDAs.
it's, yeah, not breaking any NDAs, just being clear for my Amazon Prime friends out there. Um, but Beast Games was like really, just for lack of a better word, a beast of a campaign. And I think it really touched on every single one of our capabilities as a business. Um, so Mr. Beast, right? Everyone knows him, biggest YouTuber in the world. His audience speaks for itself. Some of the things he does perfectly align with like what we sort of pride ourselves on as an agency. With stunty out of the box, new concepts never been done before, first to market. So Amazon came to us and said they wanted to combine that energy that they get from Mr. Beast with sort of their resources, being just Amazon and just being like the biggest company in the world, and just doing like a marketing campaign that only they could do. So started out as like an RFP, just sort of like a pipe dream against some of the largest agencies in the world. And I didn't mention we're not one of those. We're probably we're like a 25 person agency, so we're smaller. We don't have international offices or anything like that, but we play nicely in the sandbox with a lot of those big guys. So we were up against some of the biggest for this one. Ended up going through several rounds of proposals, got deep. We won the business, and it became sort of the most ambitious campaign we ever took on. So we started pitching all these different ideas, and clients work in different ways. So with this client, they sort of gave us that very general task, and we had to really piece together the idea and get granular, and then start throwing some things at the wall, seeing what was resonating, what wasn't resonating. Then they had to run it up, take it back to leadership. So it was a whole process that started in July or June of 2024. The show didn't come out till December. And like we really didn't have pen to paper, sign off on the final idea, budget, everything until I want to say 8 to 10 weeks out from December 18th, which was the launch date. So the final idea ended up being these global international city takeovers. So how could we take over cities in each of these index markets that were really important to the client and Mr. Beast? How can we make a statement and like take over the natural landscape of those cities? And then also parlay that into like a countdown, um, you know, building that suspense and energy leading into the premiere episode. So we started all this in New York, of course. It was at Times Square, which is right down the street from our office. Iconic locations. And then we also took over some buildings. We took over One World Trade Center, meaning we lit up the podium and it said Beast Games on the bottom of the podium, which looked awesome. And then we had the spire on top of the building. We made that pink and teal for Mr. Beast colors. So we just did this whole launch. We also took him to Summit One Vanderbilt and did a whole press day, showed off like also lit up that spire, lit up that building. It was a whole massive sort of lighting ceremony that we did for Summit One Vanderbilt. Um, and I sort of glazed over this, but the activation we did in Times Square, we built this glass box money structure. It was full of 5 million fake dollars. They were called Beast Bucks. We planted that in the middle of Times Square. We had guards that were dressed like the guards from Beast Games, which is it's a version of Squid Games pretty much in real life that Mr. Beast does. So check it out on Amazon Prime. But that's what we did in the middle of these cities, and then amplified it with all these different vehicles, whether it was influencers or these lighting ceremonies with press, um, etc. So that was really our mission. And then we picked up New York. Then the next day was Toronto. The mystique around it was that it was the same money pyramid, but it actually was a different one. So we just built 8 of these things and then just popped them up internationally. Um, so we did New York, Toronto, then we went down to Buenos Aires. Randomly enough, we were at the obelisk down there, El Obelisco. Then we went to Istanbul. We were at like a big cultural center there, like the big mall. We went to Sydney, Australia. We were on Bondi Beach, doing the same sort of tactics, lighting up different buildings, stadiums, etc. All the way over to Berlin, where we also activated outside of an arena and did a projection on the side of the arena as well. And then culminated all in LA with, this epic content experience. We invited Mr. Beast, we invited the Costco guys, from TikTok that are infamous. It was a real like who's who of creators and content folks. And we did that all at the Regent Santa Monica on the beach, and we did a drone show, and sort of just did this epic launch that led into the release of the show the next day. So that was a little bit of the Beast Games campaign, and sort of covered what we do from experiential to influencers to event production, um, to non-traditional out of home being the building takeovers and the drone shows. It really bucketed all our capabilities into one. And as sort of like a small team doing all of that internationally, we took a lot of pride in that as a company, and it's, a great case study for us going forward, really demonstrating all aspects of our business.
Dude.
It
Dude.
was it was a monster, and I was running, I really led the charge from execution to from pitch through execution. So I was really married to every single part of the campaign, and it really became a little bit like my baby, like my child for the back half of the year. Wow, sorry, for the back half of the year, 2024. But yeah, it was an epic marketing campaign, and that's the stuff that gets me up in the morning.
Dude, I felt like I was there. Like the passion that you had in telling that story. This is something that you're never going to forget. This is the ultimate team building experience. Those 25 employees are going to be there for the rest of your life. I
Mhm.
would say 85% of it, absolutely. And what a fucking experience. I mean, first off, for you guys to be allowed to really just go and explore your creativity, I mean, where else can you actually get to do that, right?
Yeah,
Especially on the world, one of the world's biggest platform. I mean, we're talking about Amazon, we're talking about Mr. Beast. I mean, what a fucking opportunity! That's
yeah.
just amazing.
And I'm glad we could fucking curse, because I was
Well,
like being
yeah,
all
we
buttoned
can.
up before. Fuck yeah. All right, good.
Yeah,
Don't follow his lead.
Um,
This is rated
yeah,
dude.
PG. This is a
How do you?
yeah,
family
no,
show.
this was a family show.
You son of a bitch.
Yeah, I can't believe that. What an amazing story. I mean, this is going to be passed on for generations that you actually get to work on this too, especially with how technology is nowadays. Imagine this in, 20, 30 years from now.
Yeah,
Um,
and the best of it all was like the show was really successful. Like our client was so happy, it became like their number one streaming show. So those are the kind of success stories that, again, yeah, as you can tell, I'm very passionate about it. It was something that I
Absolutely.
was deeply involved in, and it was just a great time. I mean, it's I would have never thought I'd be working on something like that. If out of college, I went to sort of like a more basic finance job until my dad sort of picked up the phone and was like, "Hey, it's time to do it." So it was really cool seeing that, and it was a really cool experience for my dad as well, honestly, because it was, again, the most ambitious campaign that we've ever you know, got going on as a company. Definitely our largest budget that we've ever worked with. So it was a great win.
I mean, good luck going from there now, like trying to go up. Like you're
Hmm.
you got this ultimate experience and now you're like, well shit, now what? I mean, we got
Well,
Mr.
this,
Beast and Amazon, so all right.
yeah, so those guys will be coming back again,
That's
for
the best
sure.
part
We
about
love
it.
working with them. I mean, yeah, that's the thing. Like, so in entertainment, it's very much project based. So it's like, you work on the big one and then there might be a little one with a smaller budget, but still just as fun, having, maybe a stunt, but at a smaller level or in one market or whatever it is, right?
Mm.
So there's all different sorts of opportunities. And that was like a great team to work with. Different clients work in different ways. This was a very cooperative client. They really trusted us to just get it done. And usually this is something that they'd siphon off to like their international teams and be like, hey, just recreate our idea with your own international agency. But it was very important to them that they kept everything consistent,
Mm.
and from one sort of talking piece. So I mean, yeah, man, like you can't even imagine like some of the fucking issues that just pop up, whether it's with customs or like permitting,
Oh,
or
I bet.
you're talking, someone just like wants to pull,
It's business,
someone wants
dude.
to pull out of something last
Yeah.
minute. It's like it's crazy. That's the live event business. And then just dealing with it at an international scale was something that, I'll always appreciate the lessons that I took from it. And as you said, it will just last, forever.
I mean, it's on the top of your resume now, which is the best
Yeah,
part about it. Like, good luck for, future clients saying no to you. It's like, we've worked with Mr. Beast and Amazon. What more do you fucking want? So
exactly.
that's where I want to bring this conversation to is your ideal clients and who you're looking for. I personally, well, now I'm going to watch this Mr. Beast now that I've actually met you, and I want to see,
It's a
how
great
cool
show,
it is.
man. Like
It sounds
it's
like it.
great. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's he did a great job. He invested multi-million dollars like building a city, and he someone won an island. I mean, it was a pretty crazy show. Me and my girlfriend were pretty dialed into it.
Hell yeah. Well, I'm excited to watch it, but as far as like who your ideal client is now, because it sounds mainly into like this entertainment industry. Do you do this for businesses? Do you do this for small businesses? Are you really looking to stay towards that niche? Like where do you go from here?
He's gonna blow
So
me up next.
yeah, exactly. I'm gonna find a mental performance coach. No, so I think like next step for us is pretty much like, we want some different verticals. I mean, our typical client profile is like anyone that's like consumer facing, right? So it's
Mm.
not really, I shouldn't say that maybe, but like, because there is some B2B opportunities that we work on. We just started working with a company called Ron Pack. They're out of Louisiana. They do like all the packaging for like the McDonald's, the Wendy's, etc. Like, those brown bags that everything comes in.
Oh.
So that's sort of something where we've stepped into that B2B realm where they just wanted to like stand out at trade shows. So we've been
Hmm.
building like little booths for them and digital kiosks, things like that. So I was about to say any business that has like a consumer facing product, but that's that's sort of like a different variation of it, right? I mean, like they're not really connecting directly with the consumers. They're looking to connect with, the CMO of Wendy's to slap
Right.
their logo on their bag. So, I guess that's sort of a little bit of a false statement, but I would say just there's a lot of ways that we could work, with different businesses, and it's really just anything from like a production standpoint, like what we're doing for Ron Pack and building out these trade show experiences, to breaking through that really saturated brand ecosystem where clients like, are looking for ways to stand out, you know, just in the market, or
Mm.
maybe they don't want to work with one of the huge agencies because it's, you're going to get assigned a junior person and they don't really like to think outside the box too much. They're like, oh, we'll just buy you 50 billboards across the country and We could also run digital ads for you and et cetera. So if they're trying to do something a little more out of the box that stands out, that tells a great story internally, that's really what we're looking to do, and help generate plenty of buzz around it, and added value in that context.
Mm.
Right. That's kind of a very interesting point because of course there's all different stages in business. So as much as I was joking and saying like you'll blow me up next, right? The question is at what size and scale, like is there an opportunity? And I mean this even brings up a great point, right? Like you said in some oversaturated fields. Coaching is wildly oversaturated. There's like 10 trillion coaches out there and 5 of them are actually good. And so
Right.
do you have capabilities to take smaller solopreneurs or smaller businesses and blow it up? Or for the things that you do, does it really require like a heavy budget for a bigger business? Like, what's the capabilities?
No, I mean, we work with all sorts of budgets too, which is why we're like really nimble. Like one of the, I bring up my dad a lot, but well, not only because he's my mentor and we work together, but like, he doesn't say no to anything really. Like he'll just be like, yes, right? And then like it's a figure it out and be solution oriented and problem solve. Or like if it's a smaller budget, he says yes, and we're investing in the relationship. And then we want that, you know, we work with like small studios all the time that we hope become, entertainment powerhouses or whatever it is. And we were there from the beginning and helped with the growth story. Um,
Mm,
so I wouldn't say it's like the bulk of our business, but like we definitely do like one-offs a lot, or, whether it's a small entrepreneur or something like that. I mean, I'm talking more about the flashier stuff, but like we do like all the basics, like, we run digital, for a lot of our smaller clients, I would say. We have in-house creative, so we have guys that just resize graphics and come up with different creative concepts, but like sort of could like put together a digital ad for you, or, a billboard ad, whatever it is, right? We do all the paid media. So yeah, I mean, I would just say it's not like the core part of our business, but we've totally worked with all sort of stages of of businesses and all different profiles over the years.
Have you always been creative? How did you unleash this like mindset of doing things completely different than the traditional type of way?
So I actually struggled with that early on. I'd like to say I'm I'm intelligent, but I didn't really have the creative side of my brain triggered yet. Like I was sort of just coming again from that like more black and white like finance
Mm,
job to like opening up like sort of like those creative juices.
Pandora's
Um
box.
yeah, so at first, like, we would have these like company brainstorms, and I wouldn't say I wasn't
Dude.
active, but I just like sometimes I like just couldn't think of like anything that was really stand out. And I would more so like take one of my colleagues' ideas and like take it to the next level, or I would know how to spin it or sell it to a client, right? So like I was definitely like enjoying more of like the client facing aspect, and putting the ideas together, but it was not always my idea. But I think just from that exercise and doing a lot of that, and like seeing what's out there too. So like whether it's a new vendor that's like rolling out like some sort of new technology, we've been playing around with like holograms and things like that. I don't know if you guys have seen that in Vegas, Shane, maybe at like the Sphere. Um, so I've been talking to those guys that like develop the holograms and some of that stuff, just like networking with those guys and knowing what's out there. It's not necessarily like wasn't my idea to develop a hologram, but I have the network, I have the resources to get in front of those people, and I know that
mm,
wow, this would be a really good idea for this upcoming HBO Max title, right?
mm,
Where it's this is perfect. Like maybe it's about a futuristic robot, and you could talk to the hologram version of it and whatever. So obviously just spewing out loud so I don't break any NDAs, but um those are the kind of things that now I'm able to like connect better and be like, oh, like I actually, or we pitched that like a year ago for this title. And like, if we spin it this way, So I've gotten a
Mm,
lot better at that. But I would say at first, it was hard for me to come up with these ideas from scratch. I really had to be like, okay, this is what I do for a living. These are, and like be like actively networking and seeking out those people that are really on the cutting edge and the real, creative innovators, I would say.
Everybody and their mother were marketers like 5 6 years ago when
Yeah.
technology really expanded on social platforms. And a lot of them have failed. I'd say 90% of them have failed and closed their agency doors down because they did it this traditional ways. The
Hmm.
ones that have made it, and my background's also in marketing. I opened up my marketing company for 4 or 5 years with the exact things you're talking about as far as traditionalness, right? It was constantly looking for things that were already viral, already successful, and kind
mm,
of emulating off of that. What advice can you give to these marketing companies that are looking to stay different? Would it be to go network and see what's out there? It sounds like there's more just intuition and creativeness to this than the traditional, let's steal what's viral, let's steal what's working and run off of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to say. I would say yes, like that's a huge component of it, like making sure you're, following everything that's out there, whether it's like, we didn't do this, but I just saw an amazing Severance experience at Grand Central Station. I don't know if you guys saw that. It went viral. They propped up like a glass box and they brought the actors in and they were like working at the station and just like always looking for those good ideas and like just being able to make them dynamic and suit like different builds. And like obviously it's not a copycat league, I would say. Like, you can't just like copy someone else's success. It's more of like, how can we repurpose this or like be inspired by this and do our own version, put our own spin on it, do it our way. So that's definitely part of it, but you
mm.
can't just really copy paste any real tactics. It's got to obviously be suited for different businesses, different clients, whatever it might be. Um, and then, sorry, your original question was advice for.
I guess the marketing companies that actually lasted, I think that's the American way is right,
Yeah,
taking something and making it your own. Um,
right,
but I think, like for the example that you just gave, I think like even saying, okay, how do we get visions from this that already went viral, and how can we go off of that? Like even saying that out loud is already one step ahead of somebody else
right,
compared to
right.
me. Like when I see that, it's like, oh shit, we need to take this and make it happen in Vegas, right? Because it's going to go
Yeah.
viral because it went viral in New York. But like even putting your own
And
spin on it,
and
like
another thing is like with other agencies, like and this is something else I learned from my dad, like with that sort of yes mentality and just being solution oriented. But like I think other agencies tend to say, okay, I ran into a roadblock, it's impossible, it's not going to happen. But we really push. We push our partners. We're like, come on, this like, obviously there's money involved. Like, let's make this work. Like, let's put the pieces together. Let's bring all the logistics together. Let's think outside the box. Because if you just go to a guy, for example, and don't want to throw anyone under the bus, but let's just say an unnamed client came to us and they said, we our dream is to do this billboard in Los Angeles, and we want it to have a 14-foot extension on the bottom. Um, you know, again, they just came to us with this idea. Usually those billboards are like 14 by 48. You could only put creative in those spaces. Some of them have little room for extension. There's a lot of regulation around the industry. So a lot of those out-of-home guys, they just want to sell you their bread and butter. They just want to say, hey, buy this billboard for me, exactly how it is. Well, I almost said the name of the client. Unnamed client went to unnamed agency, which usually buys all of their traditional media, and said, hey, we want to do this extension. It's our dream. Our senior executive at our studio wants to get this done. Let's make it happen. They said, oh, we can't do it. So they came to us and we sort of broke down those doors and found like the more mom and pops that were willing to take a risk. Or, just sort of opened up some of I was actually surprised. Some of the big boy out of home companies, like the larger ones in the world, were actually willing to do this with us. They just
Mm.
it was simply a matter of the fact that they just have this closed-minded approach and we're like, oh, it's impossible. We can't do it. We're not going to put the work in. Well, we put the work in for our clients. We're never going to say no. We're never going to say something's impossible. We're going to try to make it work. So you have to have that like extra motivation and bring that out of like your partners and make sure you're surrounding yourself with those people, especially at an agency where, oftentimes you're a connector, right? So
Mm.
just finding that right partner, that right group, and going the extra mile, and not admitting, if something's impossible, maybe it's impossible, but like, we're gonna freaking break down doors before we determine that. We're not gonna just rule something out.
So I'm curious, based on all of this, I've worked with some ad agencies, I've worked with some marketing people. I found that a lot of them suck. And my my reason that I think they suck is because the reason I would use a marketing and or an ad agency is because I know that I suck in figuring out how to be creative enough to get my message out well enough that people actually call me back or reach out to me. And I feel like that's supposed to be their job, right? And it always
Mhm.
winds up being my job and then them somehow charging me to do nothing. So I'm curious with you guys, is it a play where it's, and it sounds like, I just want to confirm it for the audience and even just get a little history or a background on it. It sounds like you guys will take a just very broad thing. Like I might come to you and say, Sam, I want to get in front of 1,000 people and fill up a community, and then you'll take that, you'll run with it, you'll come up with the ideas, you'll iterate it, you'll come up with the whole plan, you'll tell me how to execute it, and then you guys go and execute it, right? Like it
Mhm.
sounds like you're a full service agency. Can you just dive a little more
Mhm.
into like the strategy behind
Yeah,
all this?
full service. We try to just be a one-stop shop for our clients. I think and again, that's something that differentiates us, or, as you going back to the advice chain that you said giving to someone else, like, don't close off those doors, right? I mean,
Mm,
like we've been open to all opportunities. Like we've been everywhere. Um, if there's something that you could think of, we probably have a case study or at least could point you in the right direction or whatever it is, right? Um, so we're really full service. We're a one-stop shop. I think some, and for better or worse, we'll just be like, oh, we're just an influencer agency, or we're just digital
mm,
marketing or something like that, right? But a lot of those processes need to speak to each other to get like real impact and real results from it. So we try to be on top of all of it. So, if you're just an experiential agency, right, where you could build stuff, at an
mm.
event, but you can't really like find those amplification vehicles, which is like have those local press connections or local influencers to come to your event and just blow it up and take a picture of it and post it on socials and like think outside the box a little bit, right? A lot of that needs to be connected. So yes, we're extremely full service, and we always try to think about like all sort of levels of the marketing mix versus just being like, okay, this is like siloed to this, or like we're only charging our client for like this element of it, and without going through like the full life cycle of media and making sure that it amplifies.
I love it. It's so much more refreshing to hear about what you're doing because for me personally, and I'm sure this has probably been a pain point of some of our listeners, I have always found that marketing doesn't work for me,
Hmm.
right? And then you start thinking, well, is it a me issue? Maybe it's just my business, or maybe it's just my product. But you really realize that you need a very powerful strategy behind all of this. And just hearing the detail and the way that you guys methodically think about things and how you execute upon it and put together all of the resources and the processes. I mean, you guys are phenomenal. I'm sure that even without having Amazon to work on, you probably have tons of people knocking down your doors. All right, Sam. So we got these three questions for you. I'll ask you this one first. As you know, the name of our podcast is The 1%. And it's not about being a billionaire, it's about excelling and doing the best you can in a specific field or desire that you have to live a specific way in life. And you could be a 1%er of anything, so long as you really excel or achieve greatly. Our question to you is this: what is your version of a 1% life?
I think 1% is just being the absolute best version of yourself that you can every single day, right? And that might sound cliche, but like actually living and breathing by it, not just in the workspace, but like outside of it. I mean, I
Mm,
try to do everything that I can to make sure I'm at my peak performance every day, whether that's, if you're in the gym, I mean, I'm very calculated about what I'm eating and I'm very attentive to that. I know that I need to be at a certain level to function and be able to do my day-to-day job, whether it's pitching to a client or just talking to someone and just being sharp. Um, I have like a step of processes that I need to go to get to that
mm,
percent, that 1% where I feel dangerous. So I would say that, yeah, just like paying attention to every part of the process. It's not just like one thing that you could do, but just being like very well-rounded, well-balanced, and that doesn't necessarily mean working 24 hours, 24/7, right? It's just like making that time for the gym, making that time for friends, family, that sort of gets you to the 1%. And, you could be a billionaire, but not have your health and you got nothing, or not have like, someone to love. And, that's not appealing. So I think being the 1%, it's like, more of a larger picture than people typically think about it in.
That
I
was
apologize.
such a good answer too. And
That
daughter
was
had,
good.
well, Ben's daughter came in and started dancing.
Yeah.
Oh
You
no,
know,
that's so funny. I didn't even see that. I was on
we
my
could,
email page for a second.
That's
you
why
know,
you were on a roll too, man. It was so good.
we could probably just leave that and
Hey,
fuck
let's
it.
leave
It'll
it.
be a blooper. Why not?
I like it too. To
All
be
right.
honest, I think it adds more context. It was such a good message, and the daughter comes in and is like this.
Yeah,
I've,
she got so pumped up she couldn't resist. She
Hell
was just
yeah.
like, "Let's go."
She
I
was like, I'm dangerous
very,
right now. I got to my 1% where I'm dangerous right
Yeah,
now.
she was like, "I'm ready."
Yeah.
I very quickly also hit the mute, so it's fine. I don't think there was any noise. All
No,
right, cool. So
you're
we'll
all
leave
good.
that. All right, so we're gonna do your favorite question now. Ready?
All right, the best one.
There we go. Okay, 3, 2, 1. All right, Sam, that was awesome, man. I love it. We got your next question here, which is, what is the best piece of advice you think you've ever received in life?
So for the best thing that I mean, my nana, this is my grandma, God bless her heart. She's dealt with a lot this past year. My grandfather actually passed away, which was a lot, but I think of her immediately because she always tells me, you know, she was always telling me like do something you're passionate about. And
Mm,
people say that all the time, but it really it stands with me because now I feel that like I'm in a field that I'm passionate about, right? And and if I didn't do that, and I had so many second thoughts and um not regrets, but like, just the process that it took me to transition from like, a very cushy, like, finance job, just, we could have went through the motions and saw myself going through that corporate America ladder. Or just doing something that I'm passionate about, which was, taking maybe like a short-term pay cut, let's say, and doing something, with my family that I have some skin in the game and something that like really like as you guys could see like I like doing this shit like I'm passionate about it. Uh it gets the creative juices flowing, etc. So I think she always sort of guided me towards that, and it's just great advice because again it goes back to like what we were saying about the 1%. Like if you're not if you got $1 billion but you're miserable, really if like what is that going to do for you?
yeah,
So I think that's sort of been the best advice I've received.
I love it.
I saw I quickly want to talk about, I saw a video on Instagram yesterday that it was a kid. He was in his college gown and it was with his friends. And he got approached by a guy in a suit. And he said, "Hey, do you want to make a living?" And he goes, "Yeah." And he's got his skateboard in hands. He's all vibely and friendly, like he just graduated.
Hmm.
And he says, "Great. I want you to stand right here from 8 to 5 every day, and I'll come back and I'll give you cash." So it goes by, and his first day comes, and he gets the $50. He goes, "Oh my God, this is great." And then he goes by and he goes, "Hey, I want to give you a raise. It's going to be a 30% increase. And now I want you to stand right here. And it's 2 blocks, and you get a little bit of a view." And he goes, "Oh, really? This is awesome." And his friends come over. He's like, "Hey, you want to hang out? Do you want to go skateboarding? You want to go lunch?" He's like, no, I can't. I got to work. I got to make a living for myself. This happens, and his space gets bigger and bigger, and he's working for the man, and his skateboard disintegrates, falls apart. And by the time he goes, I think I want to retire. And the guy goes, thank you so much for your service, and good luck with life. And he walks away, and he finds the skateboard, and he falls down. He doesn't remember how to do it. And he says, don't let life pass you by. Do what you love. Do what you're passionate about. Mm-hmm. So, and for some reason, what you just said just kind of reminds me of that. Just
it's a great metaphor.
Life is so quick, and really, it kind of passes you by. Do what you're passionate about. Do what you love to do.
Yeah, people get caught up in the rat race a little bit, so it's good to sort of take a step back and be like, hey, you could still be really successful and really good about what you do, and just dominate in other facets of life, and be like a well-rounded person.
But I think the only true way of doing that, and the only true way to escape that slavery of working for the man, is being an entrepreneur, is being a business owner, is having time. Because that's really what being an entrepreneurship is time. You could do whatever it is that you want to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And using that time wisely, right? And being resourceful with it. But yeah, 100%. It's just, you can't get caught up in that, or that external pressure,
Well, I absolutely love the idea of not working for anyone, and that's why none of us do it, and that's why hopefully a bunch of our audience doesn't do it either, because it's just not fun. Anyway, with that being said, Sam, last question for you, my man. How can people get in touch? How can they get involved? How can they get connected? What are some of the ways that people can find out more or do something with you?
Yeah, hit me on LinkedIn, Sam Rosenblum. That's BLU. So I try to connect with people there. I'm not, active like a Jake Flushner on LinkedIn, but I'm posting. Definitely connect with me. Check out Map 360 Collective. It's map360code.com. We're trying to just update our website constantly, show off some case studies, and yeah, I mean, I'm always. My inbox is always open. It's sam@map360co.com. So, love connecting with people there, just hopping on Zooms and just seeing how either we could work together or, just how I could be a resource, whatever it might be.
I love it. Well, there you have it, folks. One of the most brilliant minds of our time featured here on the 1% podcast, figuring out how to make Mr. Beast more viral than he already is. How about that? So, go check out his stuff. Go connect with him. You definitely should. I already am, but I'm going to continue to connect with him just because. Why not? And check it out. Guys, thank you so much for joining us here on another episode of the 1% podcast. Please like, share, follow, subscribe, comment. Let us know what you thought of the episode. Sam, stick around for a moment after. I'm going to talk to you about something, and then we'll let you out of here. And join us next time for another episode of the 1% podcast. I'm your host, Vin, and
I'm Shane.
And that was Sam, everybody. See you later.
Bye, guys.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.